Today, we're going to discover how a world-first program is igniting the interest of young women to pursue professional careers in construction. Good morning and welcome to our webinar on Construct Her Future. I'm Kelly Stewart, Marketing Manager at Wagner's CFT, and I'm here with today's guest speakers, Ashley Begg and Anna Richardson from Construction Skills Queensland and Nicky Vaisey from Constructionarium Australia. CSQ is an independent, not-for-profit industry-funded body supporting employers, workers, apprentices, trainees and career seekers in the building and construction industry. Ashley is the Industry Development Manager and Anna Richardson the Industry Partnerships and Projects Manager at CSQ. Meanwhile, Constructionarium Australia runs build programs throughout the year, often coinciding with university holidays, which provides a unique 8-day learning and development experience for undergraduates and emerging professionals to experience an entire construction project from tender to client handover. Nicky Vaisey is the Executive CEO of Constructionarium Australia. Welcome, Ashley, Anna and Nicky. Before we get started, just a few webinar protocols. We are recording today's event and we'll make the recording public via the Wagner's CFT YouTube channel. You can ask a question anytime during the webinar via the chat bubble at the top of the screen. However, we will hold your questions over to the end of the webinar for the Q&A session. And for anyone having difficulty accessing the chat facility, feel free to text your questions to me on the mobile phone number I've just put in the chat feed now on 0437 914 324. So let's dive in. Ashley and Anna, perhaps you'd like to give us some information about CSQ and how the Construct Her Future program came about in the first place.
So what was the problem? We did a lot of research at the beginning of end of last year and the beginning of this year to identify what's the problem that we're trying to address. So through some research and analysis, so you don't need to look far to understand that there's a severe shortage of new entrants joining the white-collar infrastructure workforce. We know that nearly every single construction occupation currently in infrastructure is facing significant labour shortages. And we dive in deeper, you also see that we're all aware that female participation has always been low in construction, and whilst it is slightly increasing, it's never been more crucial to invest in increasing female participation within the industry. We also have an ageing workforce, so over 40% of the total workforce has the potential to retire in 15 years. So there's a dire need to bring in the next generation of construction workers and make sure they're equipped to make the informed decision about what their career might look like. There's also a lack of robust training programs to educate and attract the next generation of paraprofessionals, white-collar workers in the industry. So through this analysis, when we're looking at construction pathways, we identified that we currently had no white-collar pathway offering in the consideration phase of construction pathway strategy. So we know that industry is already screaming for people, and in particular, they're screaming for civil engineers. So there's 1,700 Queensland engineering jobs advertised in 2023, which was a 22% increase from 2022. And 47% of these vacancies were for civil engineers. So just reiterating the need that we need more people finding these opportunities and going down the study path and coming out and being a worker within the infrastructure sector.
And moreover, we also know that girls aren't pursuing engineering. We know that 3 in 4 girls never consider engineering as a career pathway. Women only account for 17.7% of engineering graduates. And you don't need to look far to see lots of anecdotes like this, where women realised in hindsight that engineering would have been perfect. They just didn't realise what an engineer did. So that really demonstrated to us the need to raise awareness and consideration of engineering pathways for young girls, which led us to determine the solution, which was Construct Her Future. Our objective with Construct Her Future, again, is simple. It's to empower STEM-focused young women to consider infrastructure pathways. This forms part of our Gateways to Industry Schools project with the Queensland Government, and we were really proud to deliver the pilot this year. I'll hand over to Nicky, who will explain a bit more about the program in depth.
Yep. Thanks, Anna. So normally the Constructionarium Australia program is an 8-day program. This was just a 5-day program. It was held during the school holidays, and it involved year 11 students from a couple of different colleges that Anna and Ash will talk about a little bit later. The idea was to really actually sort of kaleidoscope our normal program into this 5 days so that the participants still got a real idea of what an entire infrastructure project might look like. We wanted to show them the contractual side, so what tendering was like, some of the basics involved in tendering, the competitiveness of the tendering process. We also wanted them to expose them to actually building something. And during that week, we also had a series of lunch and learns where we talked about things like bridge design, sustainability. We had a session on Indigenous cultural learning, but then also women in construction. Our sort of motto for both Ash and Anna and myself is you can't be what you can't see. So actually seeing that career was really important. And then the final day was a celebration in terms of opening the bridge, but also celebrating and evaluating. I'll also just add that we split the 10 participants into 2 groups of 5, and we mixed the schools. They were all female participants. We also had 2 female young project managers, one for each group. And both of those are still studying at uni. One is a graduate intern with McElwain, and the other one is actually working at TMR as a cadet. That was a real stretch for them. They hadn't done the project manager role before, but they really enjoyed it, and it was really lovely to see them develop skills as well throughout the process. And then finally, I just really acknowledge Harry Hartman, who's in that in the picture taking the selfie photo. He really was a driver in terms of the program and in terms of getting the materials. He and I worked on the syllabus, and it was a delight to work with him. And it was wonderful to actually deliver this program. So yes. So what did we build? We were really lucky to have Wagner's involved. They actually donated materials. We wanted to build something substantial. We wanted to give the participants the opportunity to really understand what construction was about, what planning was about, and actually allow them to develop something and build something that was substantial and they could be proud of. So we actually built 2 real bridges from Wagner donated fibre reinforced polymer. And this particular material was really attractive to us in that it could be put together. It was relatively light, but extremely strong. And it gave the participants some experience of handling materials, of actually of joining pieces together, and of the theory behind building a bridge.
Perfect.
So
to cap off, to finalise the day, we, as Nicky said, we ran through, the girls got to create a tender, present their tender, and jump into action and build a bridge. But we also wanted to make sure the girls built really good connections and started building their network for when they do finish year 12 next year. So part of the program, on the last day, the girls completed a bridge opening ceremony, which was inclusive of employers, their parents, and industry stakeholders. They were able to take groups around the bridge and actually show them how they built it and what they did over the week to, get them building on their confidence and their communication skills with people that they've never spoken to before. And then we had a career development workshop. So we had a career market where we had a whole bunch of industry infrastructure partners set up a stall. And the girls were tasked with going around and spending 10 minutes at each workshop to extract information out of those stakeholders about their business, about their projects, about opportunities. And one thing the girls really took away from this was they actually realised there was so much more to construction than what we were even able to show them within that 5 days. So, you know, talking and having these conversations, they were really able to understand the complexity and the diversity of opportunities that this industry holds. So it was a really good takeaway, and it was one of the first programs that we were able to actually reach the parents. So having them come along to support their daughters, to see what they've done over the 5 days was really incredible opportunity to have a chat to the parents and actually extract some really awesome information about how the program had impacted them. So to get the girls and to get the interest for the program, we had to start somewhere. So once the concept was born and the program was set in stone, we started working with Loretto College and Somerville House for our pilot program. So we took Constructionarium, so Nicky from Constructionarium and a couple of her female alumni that had been through the full build of the program. And we did a construction chat at both the schools to all of the Year 11 cohort around infrastructure, the opportunities, and then to spruik our program, that it's a world first program that's being piloted. And there was a really cool opportunity for them to get a competitive edge against their peers and get a foot in front of everyone else on their career journey. So we did the construction chats in July and August. We then opened up applications. So this was a very competitive process. The girls were not forced to put an application in. It was to scan the QR on the flyer that you can see a bit of a snippet of the photo down there. And there was targeted questions that they needed to complete as part of their EOI. We then went through and did a bit of a matrix assessment on the girls and made sure that it was a fair and equitable process and take the top 10 out of the submissions into the program. So by August, the students were notified and selected. September, we held a parent webinar. So we just wanted to make sure that we had the most information out there for the students and the parents to make sure that these girls were going to be safe, that they were going to be supervised, and they knew everything about the program. So we wanted to make sure that we were over communicating with the parents more than under communicating to make sure that we had their unwavering support for this program, which, you know, what we've seen, and Anna will take you through later, is the feedback around how much that was really appreciated from the schools and the parents. On the 16th of September, we commenced the program, so the 5-day program from the 16th to the 21st at the Construction Training Centre. And this was a really amazing experience, not only for the girls, which it was for, but also for myself and Anna and Nicky and Harry and the two team female leads. It was amazing to be able to see it come together and actually see the real difference that we were having and this program was already having on these 10 girls going through the pilot. So it was amazing to see them come together, to collaborate, to work out little issues. We all know things don't always go smoothly. So, you know, being able to be there to intervene and provide professional development to the girls was a really awesome experience. And then November, so now we have just opened up and introduced a mentorship program to the 10 students that have gone through the program, which Anna will take you through shortly.
Thanks, Ash.
So just leaving a little anecdote that we knew that we had before is that this program really identified that you can't be what you can't see.
Perfect. Now on to outcomes. At CSQ, we're really focused on having a really data-driven approach to all of our programs. We wanted to make sure that we captured as much information before and after the event to help us improve future programs. So we captured feedback from 3 different sections of the audience. So we've got students, parents, and schools. Starting off with the students, mind you, this is a pretty small sample size. We had 10 students, but still the results speak for themselves. We had a 133% increase in career confidence, a 400% increase in pursuing a career in infrastructure, and a 100% agree that they are more likely to pursue a career in infrastructure post-program. I won't read out all of those quotes, but as you can tell, the girls really enjoyed the program, and not only the theoretical side of, you know, going through the tender and construction phases of the projects, but also those soft skills that they developed through the program, the teamwork, the leadership and problem solving abilities. From the parents' perspective, we were really, really pleased to see that all of the girls had enthusiastic infrastructure conversations when they came home from a really long, hard day's work, and 100% of the parents would recommend the program. They really, as Ash mentioned before, we wanted to really over-communicate with the parents, so they were very receptive to how well organised the program was and the results we delivered for their kids. The schools, in turn, were incredibly grateful for the opportunity. We were very, very pleased to have Loreto and Somerville House come on board for a program that had never existed before, and their support was immense. And to have them suggest that they would love to be a part of future programs meant a lot to us. So we're really excited to roll this out into the future. But where to next? We wanted to make sure that the program didn't just end with the 5-day experience. So we've opened up a 12-month mentorship program, which will commence in 2025. It'll follow the girls throughout their last year of schooling. So it'll provide that really nice school to work transition for the girls. In addition to what you would normally assume with a mentorship program, like career planning, that one-on-one activity, we also wanted to make sure the girls were given really tangible outcomes. So we'll be hosting 4 different sessions of about 90 minutes in length over the course of the year. We'll start off with goal setting, then we'll jump into LinkedIn profiles, CV writing, which will be a nice segue into interview preparation at the end of the year, just before they graduate. So they'll be streets ahead of their peers when it comes to entering the workforce.
But it doesn't just stop there. We wanted to make sure that we can keep connected with these girls and build an alumni network that they're able to lean on each other for support. So post the 12-month mentorship, the girls will be invited to an opt-in alumni network on a community Facebook page that will be monitored and post-approved by CSQ. But this group is essentially to offer webinars with industry experts, career opportunities, invitations to events, and it's just, generally speaking, a platform for the students and participants to seek and provide advice to their peers. If they're potentially going through university and they're having some struggles with placement or getting out onto a work site, we're really wanting this to be a real community of being able to lean on each other and help support and provide connections where possible. So it's really important for us to make sure that we can stay connected and track these girls to make sure that the program is actually going to have an impact on increasing female participation within the industry, but also to ensure that next generation of infrastructure workers are actually moving into that confirmed stage of the construction pathways pipeline, and actually, meeting the objective of empowering STEM young women to focus on infrastructure pathways, but also to make sure that they actually do end up working for the infrastructure sector in the future. That concludes our presentation on Construct Her Future for this morning. I really hope that you guys were able to get a lot out of it. It's been an amazing journey to be on with Constructionarium with Nicky and Anna. I think at the beginning of the year we had this concept. Anna and I sat in a cafe over a milkshake to draw it up. As two really young and passionate females about this industry, we really wish we had an opportunity like this when we were at school. So to be able to build a program and work with Constructionarium to deliver it, it really holds a special place in Anna and I and Nicky's hearts. And we're really excited of where to next for this program into 2025. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, that's great. Sorry, Nicky, you were going to say.
No, I was just going to thank Ash and Anna, and yes, it was absolutely tremendous developing and delivering this program. It really was a really encouraging and amazing event to be involved in. Real privilege. Thank you. And thanks to Wagner's and McElwain as well for their support. We couldn't have done it without you.
Fantastic. Thanks, ladies, so much for your presentation. We are about to dive into the Q&A session of the webinar, and I see that we've got some people typing some questions in there at the moment. So to give you guys a chance to have a bit of a breather and to allow people to put their questions now into the chat facility, we're just going to have a little quick gear change, and I'm just going to share my screen and tell you a few things that's going on with Wagner's. So we're about to head into the Christmas holidays, and people are often looking for something quiet, bit of entertainment over the holiday break. So we've compiled a library of our webinars that we've done for the last 12 months. They're on the website and they're really easy to access, so you can catch up on that content over the Christmas period. It's easy to find. You just go to wagnerscft.com.au, select webinars in the top navigation bar, then scroll down to the previous webinars, and you'll find a whole library of webinar content there. There's case studies on real projects. There's a webinar on how to use our environmental product declaration. There's a webinar on how to use our new design guide. There's a discussion on pedestrian codes and heaps more. So check that out if you're looking for something to do over the holidays. We've also just started compiling our monthly newsletters also on the website. So again, if you're looking for a bit of reading over the Christmas New Year's break, check that out. A great resource that's full of information that's designed to keep you up to date with everything about designing, constructing, building with fibre reinforced polymer. So I'd now like to introduce Wagner's CFT's General Manager, Ryan Leeson, who will facilitate the Q&A session of the webinar. So Ryan, let's have a look at some of those questions we've got.
This first one's for you, Nicky, and that's come from Fleur here, is around expansion into other states. I know CSQ do a fantastic job for Queensland. Is there other similar entities in other states that are looking to take their lead and roll something out around the rest of the country? Where are you at with that?
So that's a really great question. We currently do actually operate in Queensland and Victoria. So I suppose if we were going to do something, Victoria would be a logical place to go. Obviously, we'd have discussions with Anna and Ash in terms of what we were doing and so on in terms of the program. But yes, most certainly, there's no reason it can't be rolled out, and keeping the CSQ moniker on it, because they've been tremendous in terms of the support and the development. But obviously, we talk with Anna and Ash about what we did and how we did it. And hopefully Wagner's too, because we'd love to have Wagner's support in terms of those materials, because they really were ideal. They were perfect for what we needed to do. I hope that answers the question.
No,
I don't know if you,
good.
Ash and Anna, if you want to add anything to that.
Just obviously, Construction Skills Queensland is a Queensland-based company, so we are definitely focusing our efforts on Queensland. Next year, we are really looking forward to hopefully rolling out another program or another couple of programs, but we'll be focusing on that southeast Queensland, southeast quadrant of Queensland, just to make sure that we kind of bed down our processes before we start looking to the future. But anything's possible at this point.
Okay, so the next one I had is sort of, you spoke a lot around the parents and the schools, and obviously all young people at 16, 17 making lifelong career decisions. They're largely influenced by their parents and their careers guidance and different schools people. How much of this piece is around educating them to really understand the potential career paths beyond maybe what as a civil engineer myself, I can probably say this, thinking of a civil engineer sitting with a calculator, calculating numbers all day, to really understand the breadth of where a civil engineering degree or construction industry profession can take you. How much of that's really around educating for parents and teachers and schools as well?
Anna, are you happy for me to take this one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. I think it's a massive plays a massive part in what we're trying to do. We know through a lot of research that was done before the construction pathways strategy was born, was that parents and teachers are the two biggest influences in young people's lives. So really making sure that keeping them equipped with the information along this journey was crucial. We wanted them to understand that it wasn't, their daughters weren't just going to be out there swinging a hammer. They weren't just going to be, on a calculator. We really wanted to showcase the variety of opportunities that this program would showcase their daughters, not only from a white collar workforce perspective. So, not just your engineers and your environmental guys, but also they do showcase the trade work side of things. So we did have a couple of girls that, weren't so well rehearsed in the white collar space, but they really excelled in the blue collar, sort of on the day-to-day putting things together. So it definitely was awesome to have the parents really involved in the setup of this program. And I think it was really crucial, that parent webinar, of giving them that information on this whole program and who we are and why we are doing what we do, to make sure that they're on board for the journey, and then they're there to support their daughter through that exploration period of finding what career works for them. Hopefully that kind of answers your question.
No, absolutely. Having come through that world myself, I know most people have a connection to have ended up there because it is a bit of an unknown. So it's either a brother or a cousin or auntie or uncle or someone that's in that civil construction space that shows the pathway to enable that sort of pursuit. When is the next applications open? I believe there was intent originally for further expansion. Sounds like Southeast Queensland's still the plan for the next phase. How do schools get involved, and maybe would there be a opportunity for a Toowoomba-based school to get involved? And is there any facilities that the school or that the region requires to enable this, or is it quite able to be ran in any sort of hall or area?
I think we're taking a pretty slow and steady approach to begin with, Ryan. Obviously, the pilot program went really, really well, but we do want to make sure that next year we kind of fine tune all of those processes before we roll it out and expand it to other regions of Queensland. We would love at some point to potentially have Toowoomba schools involved. That would be wonderful. But at this point, we'll kind of focus on that greater Brisbane area and then focus on expanding further out. In terms of how schools can get involved in the program, obviously we're not looking to go beyond Greater Brisbane for the next year, but following that, we definitely encourage schools to reach out to us with their interest. I'll at the end of this webinar, I'll add an email address that people can email through their interest. And we'll definitely keep that in our back pocket for any future development.
Just adding around the facility that's required, we did actually do the pilot at the Construction Training Centre, as Ash and Anna have already said. The requirement really was we had a contractor whose site we used, so it was a McElwain site, so we were covered by them and their safety protocols. That's really important. We had a classroom, so that when the tender preparations was being done, they actually had a meeting room classroom to work out of. And then we actually did do the construction indoors in a basically a sort of a large fenced off and roofed area. In the future, we could do an outside area, but having those facilities, so having things like bathrooms and catering, as well as the opportunity for a classroom, is quite important.
Okay, very good. And I think we've got sort of time for some closing remarks, maybe. What do you think the civil construction industry broadly, and I've got my own opinions as well, but what do you think the civil construction world's missing out on? I mean, we've sort of for years, and as I went through civil engineering, I think it was maybe less than 5% representation of females in my cohort, and I know that's definitely improving, which is really positive. But what's the industry's missing out on is greater than 50% of the population being engaged and interested in joining the industry. But what else do you think the civil construction industry is missing out on by having such a poor female representation? Maybe Nicky, you want to lead out with that one?
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. Well, obviously, the diversity of a team and the collaboration is really important. Innovation's difficult if everyone's the same. So having that diverse team's really important, and basically not using all of the resources that are available to you is a waste. We run all female builds, and it's always very interesting because they tend to be highly collaborative. The females in the group tend to discuss things and agree them before they actually do something. And so although they spend quite a bit of time talking, they actually, once they've decided to do something, they'll actually do it, and usually are highly successful. So it's a very interesting difference between a mixed group and an all-female group. But also just encouraging people to fulfill their careers and understand what options are available, and having a fulfilled workforce and an enthusiastic one is really, really important. And that includes females.
Anna or Ashley, anything you'd like to add on that as a closing remark?
I think it's crucial to have females within the workforce. Like Nicky said, offering a difference of opinion, looking at things differently. We know, even if you just look at plane operators, for an example, they do say that, female plane operators are, just generally speaking, can be a lot better because they're paying attention to the detail, they're a lot more aware, and they do the work to a higher standard. So, having that difference of opinion and having those different skill sets from a male and a female background, I think it's crucial to the success of the industry. It's also crucial to playing a part in shifting the culture of construction as well. I think that is something that CSQ is really pushing into at the moment, and seeing how, we can throw as many students into the top of the funnel that we kind of say to make them aware of construction careers, and that including a large portion of females. But I think the sort of where we focus at is we can bring them in, but if the culture is not going to shift, then they're going to leave quicker than they can stay in. So I think having more females, having a more diverse workforce is going to show that balance more, and it's going to make the industry a better place to work for all. It's going to be inclusive. We can tap into more workers that we have never tapped into before. I'm very mindful we're competing against multiple different industries for the same resources at the moment. But if we can play a part in showing that it is a career of choice and it's an industry of choice, I think that, it's going to be better for all, with females included in the workforce.
Great. Well, I think that our questions may have stopped there. Ryan, thank you so much for facilitating the Q&A session. We will pull it up there, I think. Just one moment while I share my screen. Thank you very much, ladies, for your presentation today. It was it's such an important topic, and I had the opportunity to come down and spend a day, and it was really exciting, and I had heaps of fun and was really inspired with the work that you were doing there. So quickly before we go, I'd love it if you could share your thoughts on today's webinar. So please feel free to complete the feedback form by using the QR code on the screen, or I have just popped the URL into the chat facility there as well. Or perhaps you'd like to be a guest speaker on our webinar series. If that's the case, there's a section in that feedback form that you can complete, but feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, send me an email, give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. So that does conclude our webinar on Construct Her Future. Our webinar series for 2024 also concludes with today's webinar. Wagner's CFT is going to be closed from the 20th of December to the 6th of January. But our first webinar will be back in February, and it's a great one. We're going to kick off the year with a case study of the 12 Apostles Trail in Victoria, featuring Wagner's installation partners, Civil Now. So I'll bring you some more information about that webinar in the new year. But until then, we wish you a very safe and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And we look forward to working with you in 2025. Anna, Ashley and Nicky, thank you so much for your presentation today. And we look forward to watching, the success of Construct Her Future into 2025 and beyond. So we're going to, thank you. We're going to leave now on that video that we came in on. Thanks very much for coming, guys.
Yeah.
Good job.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm just going to stop that recording.